Good day. You're all once again to the Zero Guides, where learning no limit. Today we are coming to learn about some of the basic underpinnings of the discipline of sociology. Right? That as a sociology student, what are some of the basic things that you must know in order for you to succeed or in order for you to excel in your study of sociology? Now, before that, I would entreat you to subscribe to the channel so that as and when new videos are uploaded, you will get access to it. So once again, you are welcome to the Zero Guides, where learning no limit. So just as I said, you're coming to learn some of the fundamentals, some of the basic things that you must know as a sociology student. Yeah. So here, we're coming to talk about some of the basic things, but first of all, as a sociology student, what you must know is what? Number one, to know what sociology is about. Besides, you can't learn to know the basic underpinnings or to learn a course without knowing what the course is. So we will learn about what the meaning of sociology is, right? And then we're also going to learn something about the emergence of sociology, the nature and scope and subject matter of sociology, the links and differences between sociology and other social sciences, the founding fathers and their contributions, the theoretical perspectives of the discipline, and the career opportunities of sociology. So these are the 7 basic things that you must know in order to excel in your study of sociology. That if you know all these things, every other thing that comes with sociology is founded on the basis of the things that you are coming to talk about here. So first of all, what is sociology? What is sociology? When we talk about sociology, we are talking about the scientific and systematic study of the society, human social behavior and interactions, as well as the social structure. So sociology is number one, a scientific study. Sociology is a scientific and systematic study because sociologists adapt some of the approaches of the natural sciences in their study of the society, that they use systematic scientific methods in their approach of studying society. That is the reason why sociology is a scientific study, that we use both the quantitative and qualitative methods of what collecting data of research in order to collect data for us to understand how society works. So in simply put, sociology is a scientific study of how society works. Do you understand? A scientific study of how society works, the human social behavior and their interactions, and as well as the social structure. Now, the term sociology was coined by Auguste Comte from the 1798 to 1857 to replace the already existed name of social physics. So Auguste Comte, when he coined the discipline of sociology, he had already given the discipline a name of social physics, but then due to the critiques that comes with it from the natural sciences and other people using the name social physics, so there was therefore the necessity for Auguste Comte to change the name social physics to sociology. So now the word sociology is coined from the Latin word socios, that is society or companion, and then the Greek word logos, that is to reason or knowledge. So simply put, the word sociology means knowledge about society. Knowledge about society. See, in order for you to operate well in the society that you find yourself in, you must get to know the knowledge, or you must have the knowledge about how the society works. Now, without the knowledge about how the society works, there is no way you'll be able to understand and then to be able to fit in the society. Another thing that you're also coming to talk about is the emergence of sociology. The emergence of sociology. Now, Just as I said, it was Auguste Comte that actually coined the term sociology. But then he did not do it just out of the blue. There were certain things, certain happenings that actually necessitated the study of the society in order to understand how society works. So there are some of series of events that happened that are actually necessitated the founding fathers of sociology to coin the term sociology. So now when we talk about the emergence of sociology, we are talking about some of the basic happenings. Number one is the French Revolution. So as a sociology student, as an budding sociologist, what you must be acquainted, or you must acquaint yourself with what happened in the French Revolution. The second thing that you must also know is the Industrial Revolution, the Age of Enlightenment. So these are some of the things that you must know because they form the basics of the emergence of sociology. The French Revolution talk about how the social, the political and social change that happened in France, right? That happened in Europe. That necessitated the sociologists to actually study society, to develop a discipline that will help us understand how society works. So just know that it was the aftermath of all these events that actually attracted the interest of sociologists or the founding fathers of the discipline to study society. So it was the negative consequences that comes with it, that came with the French Revolution, the negative consequences that came with the Industrial Revolution, and then the negative consequences that came with the Age of Enlightenment. Now, one thing that we also need to know about this series of events is that the series of events, they do not follow a particular pattern, but however, the series of events is more or less like they are intertwined. Do you understand? We are not going to say that, oh, this thing happened before the other, this thing happened, or the French Revolution happened before the Industrial Revolution. No, they are intertwined. So as the French Revolution, a lot of things happening. First of all, people got to realize that, you see, the Europe back then were like some of the African societies, right, where the society, they explain the things around them from the religious perspective, that they solely base on their livelihood on farming, on agriculture, right? But then it got to a time that people started to think scientifically, people started to think reasonably, people started to reason. So that was the philosophic age. You understand? People started to use their thinking, that they did not only resort to the explanations that the religious leaders are going to give them, but then they actually lived by common sense. So all these things happening actually brought about the emergence of sociology, because they came with some of the negative consequences, that some of the people, they actually revolt against, or they actually rebelled against the leaders at that time. The Industrial Revolution, a lot of people were leaving the villages to the industrial areas. You understand? And then the kind of pressure that came on the industrial areas, all those necessitated the founding fathers of the discipline to develop a discipline that will help us understand how society works. So as a sociology student, you must acquaint yourself with all these things. The next thing that you also need to know as a sociology student is the nature, scope, and subject matter of sociology. You must know the nature. When we talk about sociology, what is the nature? Right? What is the hallmark of sociology? Right? What is the nature of sociology? Just as I said at the beginning, that the nature of sociology is that the discipline is a scientific and systematic study. Right? Recently, there has been some argument that sociology can never be a scientific study. Right? But then one thing that I want you to understand is that so far as some of the scientific methods are being adapted by sociology in the approach to studying society, it actually makes the discipline scientific. Right? It makes the discipline scientific. And then there are also some ethical issues that the discipline, scientific ethical issues that the discipline takes into consideration whenever, right? Whenever the society is being studied. So all these things actually brings about the nature. And also, when you talk about sociology, sociologists are also interested in social change, sociological imagination, right? And then the comparative analysis. So that is the nature of the discipline. Sociological imagination, sociology, the nature of the discipline is such that we get to know the differences, the relationship between the behavior of the individual in the society and how the structure of the society is. So the sociological imagination was actually the term that was coined by Wright Mills, right? That we have to understand the behavior of the individual in the light of the social structure that the individual find him or herself in, right? And then the nature of the sociology is comparative in a way. The comparative analysis is the term that was actually coined by Agnes Comte, that according to him, we must study society, we must try as much as possible to compare historical events. Do you understand? Comparative analysis, our ability to compare the contemporary happenings with the historical events in order to make inferences. Do you understand? So these are the nature of the discipline. So for you to be able to learn and then for the course to be interested enough for you, you must acquaint yourself with all these things. You also need to know the scope. And when we talk about the scope, we are talking about the how or what are some of the things that the discipline cover. What is the scope? Is it limited or is unlimited? Now, for some time now, since sociology deals with human social interactions, and then it's like everything that we do, we interact with other people one way or the other. It has made the scope of sociology a little bit wide. It is not limited to any specific subject matter. So that means that you can see economics in sociology, you can see political science in sociology, you see anthropology in sociology, right? And then you also see the health institution in sociology. So the discipline of sociology is not limited to any particular subject matter, right? It's not limited. So the fact that sociology dabbles in all the subject matter of the social sciences does not mean that sociology is a jack of all trade and a master of none. So if sociology is not a jack of all trade and a master of none, then what is actually the subject matter of sociology? Subject matter of sociology. Sociology is a jack of all trade and a master of none. Sociology is a jack of all trade and a master of none. This is because the discipline has its own subject matter, right? This is because the discipline has its own subject matter, right? That is society. This is because the discipline has its own subject matter. You understand? So even though sociologists study the subject matter of other social sciences, but then the main goal behind, the main thing that is behind their mind is what? Is how the human interact with each other in every other thing. You understand? So for example, the social anthropologists, in a way, they study humans. They study human social behavior, all right. But then the anthropologists, they study the social human behavior from what we call the simple society, the society that is less vested in what? In technology, right? But then sociologists study what? The human social behavior in a complex society. Do you understand? They study the human social behavior in a complex society. Just as psychology will actually study how the individual go about their daily activities, sociology does not take that into consideration. Yes, the sociology take into consideration the individual life, but then the sociologists take in the light of what the society that the individual finds him or herself in. Sociology study the social life of the individual. So these are some of the basic underpinnings of the discipline of sociology. And the next thing that you must also you need to know, just as I've already spoken about, is a relationship between the other social sciences and the discipline of sociology. That you must know their scope, their subject matter, and their nature. That if you know all these things, beloved, the discipline of sociology is not going to be any difficult subject for you. These are some of the basic underpinnings. Now, the next thing that you must also get to know is the founding fathers and their contributions. You need to know the founding fathers and their contribution. Just as I said, Auguste Comte is a French philosopher, a French sociologist that actually coined the term sociology. Right? He coined the term sociology. That before that, there are some of the basic things that actually influenced Auguste Comte, even his idea of engaging in cerebral hygiene. Right? One thing you also need to know that Auguste Comte, he was not able to coin the term sociology until he engaged in what we call cerebral hygiene. Cerebral hygiene means that you separating yourself from the works of other people, from the publications of other people. That means that you trying as much as possible to engage your own self, engage your cognitive ability to invest something without allowing your thought to be shaped by the work of other people. So I guess some of these things, you must acquaint yourself with all of them. You must also acquaint yourself with the social statistics and social dynamics. That those are the basic things that I guess said we should study. That if you want to understand society, then you must learn some of the things that make society endure. Some of the things that keep society in equilibrium, that is social statics. And then you must also understand the aspect of human interactions, the aspect of society, or some of the things that causes social change, that causes the society to change in a progressive manner. Right? You must also acquaint yourself with Auguste Comte's idea of the law of three stages. That is the evolutionist idea of Auguste Comte. That according to him, society goes or passes through three stages. Right? Society goes through three stages. Number one, every society starts from the theoretical stage, whereby events are explained from the religious point of view, right, to the metaphysical stage, whereby everything, society moves from theoretical stage to metaphysical stage. So it moves from relying on religious explanation to commonsensical way of of doing things, of analysis. So to the common sense, to the philosophic age, and then it goes to the positivist or the scientific age. Right? So this is the law of what? The three stages of Auguste Comte. It will take time to go deeper in all these things. Just as I said, this is just an overview, the things that you must know as a sociology student. You must also acquaint yourself with the works of Emile Durkheim. Right? In fact, the works of Emile Durkheim has affected the discipline of sociology. Right? Especially with his work of social integration. Right? And then also suicide. And according to Auguste Comte, we must study society based on what we call social facts. Right? We must study society based on what we call social facts. That social facts, we are talking about the things that are external and cohesive of the individual, that the individual do not have control over. Right? That the things that actually depict the way the individual is supposed to behave, those are the social facts. So according to Emile Durkheim, right, we should study society. We will get to understand society better if we study the human behavior in the light of the things that they do not have control over, the things that actually dictate for them what they are supposed to do, and then how their lives are supposed to be lived, and the things that they are not supposed to do. The next founding father that we must also acquaint ourselves with is the works of Karl Marx. The works of Karl Marx. Karl Marx, the works of Karl Marx. Right. Now, we must also acquaint ourselves with the works of Karl Marx. Now, one of the things that Karl Marx, actually brought about that has affected the discipline of sociology is the conflict theory. right? According to Karl Marx, he was behind the masses. He actually studied society in a different perspective, from the perspective whereby there is exploitation, whereby there are different class interests that other classes try to survive at the expense of other people. So we need to acquaint ourselves with all these things. We also need to acquaint ourselves with Herbert Spencer, his idea of evolution, right? His idea of evolution. And there is idea of natural selection, the survival of the fittest, right? He utilized the idea of what Charles Darwin, the survival of the fittest. We must acquaint ourselves with all these things. And then you also need to talk about Max Weber, right? And then one of the things, the basic underpinning of the ideas of Max Weber is what is what the ethics, right? Right? He sought to understand, to explain how capitalism came about, right? You have to understand how capitalists came about, right? So we must acquaint ourselves with all these things, and then if you acquaint yourself with all these things, the discipline of sociology is not going to be anything difficult for you. Okay, and the last but not the least, we must also acquaint ourselves with the theoretical perspective of sociology. When we talk about the theoretical perspective, we are talking about the lens through which we study and understand the society. The sociology has three basic theoretical perspectives. That is the symbolic interactionism, the functionalism, and the conflict theory. So we must acquaint ourselves with all these things. When we talk about the symbolic interactionism, we are talking about the micro level analysis, right? That barely deals with how individuals interact as with each other as they go about their daily activities. So the symbolic interactionism actually talks about the individual interaction, right, in the family. How does the individual interact, and then how does it affect the behavior of the individual? Right? We talk about the functionalism. We are talking about the idea that society has different interrelated parts that performs different functions in order for society to endure. Now, according to the functionalist, society has different parts, right? That we have different social institutions. We have the economic institution, the political institution, the health institution, the family and marriage institution, and many more. So those are the functionalist ideas. And then we also have the conflict theory, which was coined by Karl Marx, that according to him, there are different class groups, there are different class interests, right? There are different class interests. And according to Karl Marx, unless those people whose interests are being undermined are taken into consideration, or whose interests are being undermined, become class conscious, become conscious of their class, right? They will not be able to fight for their interests. So according to Karl Marx and his conflict theory, those people who are being exploited by the other people must try as much as possible to revolt out, to revolt or to rebel, right? To rebel against them, to fight for their class interests in order for there to be a revolution. So Karl Marx actually forecasted an evolution, right? That it will get to a time that this new economic relationship that is between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, it will get to a time that the proletariat will become class conscious, and then they will fight and overthrow the bourgeoisie, and then the different economic relationship is going to emerge. We are going to we are going to learn why the evolution or revolution that Karl Marx envisioned has not happened yet, right? So these are the basic things, the theoretical perspectives that you must acquaint yourself with. That as you call yourself a student of sociology, you must be able to acquaint yourself with. So this brings us to the end of basic things that you must know as a student of sociology. This brings us to the basic things you must know as a student of sociology. Thank you very much. First of all, don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube at the Zero Guides. Please subscribe, share, like, and comment. Please, thank you very much. Wait next time for the ideas and then the basic theories of Auguste Comte, who is seen as the founding father of sociology, in our next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.